Good day everyone, we are the group 3 and the topic we're going to present is all about genetic in man. When we say genetic in man, the study of the inheritance of characteristic by the children from parents. Inheritance in human does not differ in any fundamental way from that in other organisms. Hereditary information is contained in genes which are carried on chromosomes. Like for example, hair color, eye color, muscle structure, bone structure, and even features like the shape of the nose. In Genetic in Man, we are going to discuss the cytogenetics, inborn error of metabolism, and the behavioral genetics. When we say cytogenetics, the study of chromosomes, number, structure, function, and behavior in relation to genes inheritance, organization, and expression. Cytogenetics revealed the nature of the chromosomal defect. A female with the only one X chromosomes has Turner syndrome, whereas an additional X chromosome in a male, resulting in 47 total chromosomes, has Klinefelter syndrome. When we say Klinefelter syndrome, sometimes called Klinefelters or XXY, is where boys and men are born with an extra X chromosomes. Chromosomes are packages of genes found in every cell in the body. There are two types of chromosomes called the sex chromosomes that determine the genetic sex of the baby. They are named either X or Y. Next is the variation in chromosomes number. First one is euploidy, normal number and set of chromosomes. Ploidy refers to the number of such sets in an organism's genome. Human beings are referred to as diploid species because they can carry two sets of chromosomes, each with 23 chromosomes, one derived from the father and the other from the mother. Second one is polyploidy. Polyploidy is three or more complete set of chromosomes. In other words, the polyploid cell or organism has three or more times the haploid chromosome number. The last one is aneuploidy. Aneuploidy presents of additional or missing individual chromosomes. Example is the Down syndrome. In every individuals with Down syndrome have three copies of chromosomes 21, so their genomes contains 47 chromosomes rather than usual 46. Individuals with Turner syndrome have only one sex chromosome, which is the sex chromosome, so their genomes contains 45 chromosomes. Next is the common types of polyploidy. First one is triploidy. Triploidy is the presence of an additional set of chromosomes in the cell for a total of 69. Tetraploidy is 92, while the pentaploidy is 115.
Hello guys, I am Jovelyn taking these parts of our reports. Common types of aneuploidy. First is monosomy, one less chromosomes. When we say monosomy, it's the state of having a single copy of a chromosome pair instead of the usual two copies found in diploid cells. Monosomy is the cause of some human disease such as Turner syndrome and Gray-Duchat syndrome. So, This is the cause of some cause of human disease, Turner syndrome, and it named after Henry Turner. So this is the karyotype of Turner syndrome. And in these parts, you can see the sex chromosome variation of a human. So, Turner syndrome. Signs and symptoms may vary significantly, probably showing prenatally or at birth or during infancy, and even during teen and adult years of a female. The other causes, aside from monosomy, are mosaicism. Mosaicism is due to errors in cell division during early fetal development, chromosomal change in only some of the cells. So when we say mosaicism is a condition on which cells within the same persons have different genetics makeup. This condition can be affect any type of cells including blood cells, egg and sperm cells. So, next is Y chromosome material, present in some cells together with the X chromosome, while some cells have only one copy of the cells of the X chromosomes. Family history does not seem to be a risk factors. So, this is the pictures of a baby with a Turner syndrome. So next is trisomy 21. So trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome or Down syndrome, named after John Langdon Down. So, trisomy 21 is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosomes. Most babies inherit 23 chromosomes from each parent for a total of 46 chromosomes. Babies with Down syndrome, however, end up with 3 chromosomes of position 21 instead of the usual pairs. So, this is the position 21. So, as you can see, the chromosomes in that position are 3, which is this may cause of Down syndrome. So this is the baby in 1 in 700 births.
Trisomy 21 is one of the most common causes of human birth defects. Symptoms vary from person to person and can range from mild to severe. Persons with this condition have an increased risk of certain types of leukemia, which can also cause early death. The level of intellectual disability varies but is usually moderate. Adults with Down syndrome have an increased risk of dementia. Okay, let's move to the types of Down syndrome. There are three types of Down syndrome. The first one is trisomy 21, and the second one translocation Down syndrome, and the third one is mosaic Down syndrome. Trisomy 21 have 90% of the cases. Translocation Down syndrome have 3%, and it occurs when the extra part or a whole extra chromosomes 21 is present, but it is attached or translocated to a different chromosomes rather than being a separate chromosomes 21. Mosaic Down syndrome affects about 2% of people with Down syndrome. Okay, next is trisomy 18, also known Edwards syndrome. Named after John Hilton Edwards. Trisomy 18 is a chromosomal condition associated with abnormalities in many parts of the body. The slow growth before birth and a low birth weight affected his or her heart and have an abnormalities of the other organs that develop before birth. These are the example of trisomy 18. We have also the three types of trisomy 18. The full trisomy 18, partial trisomy 18, and mosaic trisomy 18.
Trisomy 13, Patau syndrome, named after Klaus Patau. When we say Patau syndrome, it caused by chromosomal abnormality in which some or all of the cells of the body contain extra genetic material from chromosome 13. Trisomy 13 type. Number 1, trisomy 13. Each cell normally contains 23 pairs of chromosomes. Number 2, mosaicism is when a person has two or more genetically different sets of cells in their body. 3. Partial trisomy 13 is an extremely rare chromosomal disorder in which a portion of the synced chromosome. 8. Mosaicism syndrome, also known as Wartany syndrome after Dr. Joseph Wartany. It also called mosaicism, which means a rare form of Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic disorder that results in an extra copy of chromosome 21. Stiff joints with a limited range of movement, clenched or bent fingers or toes. Deep palm and sole creases, occasionally underdeveloped nails, missing or small kneecaps. Typically have mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. Number 1, most cases have mosaicism. Number 2, large ears, deep plantar furrows. Spina bifida. Renal and urethral anomalies, CHD. Increased risk of hematologic malignancy. These moderate intellectual disabilities can observe to those who have mosaicism syndrome.
Sex chromosome variations refers to differences in the number of sex chromosomes that may be present in an individual body cells. Triple X syndrome, also called trisomy X 47XXX. It is a genetic disorder that affects about 1 in 1,000 females birth. Females normally have 2 X chromosomes in all cells, which is chromosome from each parent. In triple syndrome, a female has 3 X chromosome. Above average stature, normal phenotype, must have learning disabilities, behavior problems, common and many never diagnosed. Klinefelter syndrome 47 or XXY is a genetic condition in which a boy or a man is born with an extra X chromosome instead of a typical XY chromosomes in men. They have XXY syndrome. Men with Klinefelter usually don't know they have it until they run into problems trying to have a child. Only in 1 in 1,000 male birds, tall stature, gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is an increased amount of breast gland tissue in boys or men, caused by an imbalance of the hormones estrogen and testosterone. Hypogonadism. Hypogonadism it occurs when your sex gland produce little or no sex hormones. Infertility, defined as not being able to get pregnant. Learning disabilities, problems with socialization, or many never diagnosed. Some of the signs of Klinefelter syndrome is frontal baldness, absent, tendency to grow fewer chest hairs, breast development, female type pubic hair pattern, small testicular size, poor bird growth, narrow shoulders, wide hips, and long arms and legs. Jacob syndrome or XYY syndrome is a rare chromosomal disorder that affects males. It caused by the presence of an extra Y chromosome. Males normally have one X and Y chromosome. However, individuals with this syndrome have one X and two Y chromosome. The affected individuals are usually tall. 1 in 1,000 newborn males, tall stature, most phenotypical normal or normal IQ, but 50% have learning disabilities like language and speech. Many never diagnosed about it. Most males with 47 XYY syndrome have normal sexual development and are able to father children. Delayed development of motor skills such as sitting, walking, weak muscle tone or hypotonia, hand tremors or other involuntary movements, motor tics, and behavioral and emotional difficulties are also possible in Jacob syndrome.
Factors that influence non-disjunction or premature sister chromatic separation. Non-junction of chromosome 21 is the leading cause of Down syndrome. The two risk factors for maternal non-disjunction of chromosome 21 are increased maternal age and altered recombination. The most common inborn error of metabolism are include number 1. Lactase deficiency. This is the common cause of lactose intolerance worldwide. Due to an insufficient level of lactase, which hydrolyzes lactose into glucose and galactose. Therefore, indigestion of milk and dairy products result in bloating, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, and related symptoms. Maple syrup urine disease or MSUD, an autosomal recessive metabolic disorder affecting branched chain amino acids. This particularly prior to diagnosis and during time of acute illness. Phenylketonuria or TKU, an inborn error of metabolism that results in decreased metabolism of the amino acid phenylalanine. Untreated PKU can lead to intellectual disability like seizures, behavioral problems, and mental disorder. It may also result in a musty smell and lighter skin. GALT deficiency, which causes the genetic metabolic disease galactosemia, one of the disease in many newborn screening panels. The disease can be fatal in undetected, and if detected, it can be treated by avoiding galactose in the diet. The signs and symptoms of galactosemia are convulsion, irritability, poor feeding, and etc.
Okay, next, behavioral genetics. an interdisciplinary field of study concerned with the genetic basis of behavior and personality. In behavioral genetics, both genes and environment interact to shape human behavior. The fundamental issue is how much a role genetics do play in shaping human behaviors. Genes do not directly produce behaviors. They produce protein that increase the probability that a behavior will develop under certain circumstances. Genes can also have an indirect effect. Genes can alter your environment by producing behaviors or traits that alter how people in your environment react to you. Some behaviors are more debatable regarding the influence of natural selection. The examples are the lifespan of every human, gender differences in sexual promiscuity, and the altruistic behavior. Twin studies remain one of the best ways of identifying genetic markers linked to complex behavioral traits. This is the correlations for IQ scores.
Next, behavioral genetics. Some behavioral disorders that are influenced by genes. Number 1, alcoholism. Number 2, schizophrenia. Number 3, depression. Alcoholism is a serious psychological illness defined as an inability to stop drinking despite potential and actual negative consequences. Someone who has a physical and mental dependence on alcohol. The first two examples show the study concluded that genetic factors account for 40 to 60% of variance among people who struggle with alcohol use disorder. Since then, some specific genes that contribute to alcohol use disorder have been found, and they correlate with the development of the reward centers in the brain. The second one showed that genetics are 50% of the underlying reason for alcohol use disorder. If a person is predisposed to metabolize alcohol in such a way that the pleasurable effects are more prominent than feeling nauseous, overheating, or experiencing mood swings, the person may be more likely to develop alcohol use disorder. Schizophrenia is a serious mental disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally. This may result in some combination of hallucinations, delusions, and extremely disordered thinking and behavior that impairs daily functioning. People with this require lifelong treatment. As you can see, research has shown that heredity or genetic can be an important contributing factor for the development of schizophrenia, although the exact cause of this complex disorder is unknown. People who have relatives with this tend to have a higher risk for developing it. Depression is known to run in a family, suggesting that genetic factors contribute to the risk of developing this disease. However, research into the genetic of depression is at early stage, and very little is known for certain about the genetic basis of that disease.
Okay, this is the end of our discussion. If you have clarification about our topic, you can ask a question via Messenger. Thank you for listening. God bless.